Welcome back for another A Member a Day through the holidays. I'm Jason Hafeman, your host here for Dane Buy Local, where we get to talk to another local business owner about one of their big passions in life. So today it's going to be Terry Payne joining us. Terry, thanks so much for taking time to talk to us about Heirloom today.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
So tell us all about your business and how you got into this.
Sure. Well, I am in antiques and I am wearing a mask because masks are required inside of Odana Antiques. I'm going to take it off now just for this short little interview and talk to you about heirloom cast iron cookware. It's probably about 10, 12 years ago, I inherited my grandmother's cast iron cookware and wanted to add a few pieces to it. Wound up hunting for some pieces, going to sales and auctions and things like that, and wound up with stacks of cast iron cookware. And basically, my kids said, "What are you going to do with all this extra stuff?" And so then it began. I started selling it locally, and got into some antique malls, and are now primarily in Odana Antiques and the Partyville Antique Mall, both booth 400. Lots of selection. Odana has about 325 plus pieces, and the Partyville store has probably over 100 pieces of cookware.
Wow, I mean, you got just a great backdrop there as we're looking at. That's just some of what you have to offer here in Odana, which is amazing. One thing you brought up, I mean, it's pretty interesting, right? How our family members can kind of impact where we go in our lives with certain things. You mentioned you got a couple of pieces from your grandmother, and then look what happened.
That is true. And what I do deal in is the older cookware, antique and vintage, manufactured by companies that are no longer around. They manufacture between the 1880s and the 1960s. And I don't do anything with the modern cookware because it's a different manufacturing process. So there's lots of different shapes, sizes, manufacturers, such as Erie, Griswold, Favorite Pequa, Wagner Ware, Wappick, and just a variety of others that some may be marked and some may not be marked. But there's lots of selection and choices.
And what are some of the advantages of these older pieces?
Yeah, my whole family enjoys cooking in cast iron. And the advantages of the cookware that was manufactured before the 1960s is that it has lighter weight compared to a new modern pan. This happens to be a Griswold from the 1940s. There are other pieces. There are Griswolds from 1906 ish. There are cast iron lids. So they're lighter in weight. The older a pan, the lighter the pan is. And they have a smooth cooking surface. Unlike some of the new modern cookware, it has a textured cooking surface because when they pour the sand casting, the new modern cookware doesn't have any extra machining done to it, where back in the day, they would do a grinding or a polishing on the cooking surface to make it smooth. So it's got a nicer finish. The oldest pieces I have are marked Erie. They were made by Griswold before Griswold was Griswold. Griswold was kind of the king of cast iron, but its competitors, just like in the auto industry, included Wagner and Favorite, and they're all good pieces. And I'm pretty particular about what I do buy and refurbish because pieces that are warped, which can happen over time if they're not taken care of, they don't work well on glass top cooking surfaces.
And I would think that would, like you mentioned before, and not having so much texture, having a smooth surface, does that make them easier to clean as well?
It does. There's lots of methods of cleaning. Some people, say to use soap or not use soap. Some people say just to wipe them out. Basically, what I recommend is when you're done cooking something and the pan, here, I'll just pick up a little one. When the pan is cool to the touch, you don't want it to be completely ice cold, but when it's cool to the touch, if you run really hot tap water over it and wipe it out, you might be able to do that a couple of times and it'll come out clean. Once you have it as clean as you want, just put a nice, very light coat of oil over the whole pan to preserve it. So then the next time it's ready to go. So it only takes a few minutes to clean them up. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes to get a pan nice and warm. They say a cold pan is a sticky pan. So make sure your pan is hot before you add food to it.
Yeah, that's really good to know because I think there's a lot of information about how to clean cast iron, what to do with it, what not to do with it. It can be really kind of confusing, I think, if you're just trying to look that up somewhere and you're unfamiliar. So hearing it right from an expert like yourself, I think is hopefully really helpful. It's helpful to me, and hopefully it's helpful to others too.
Again, more information. I have a sheet about it on my Facebook page, and I have a sheet here that folks, if they want to take one with them, they can. That describes, how I seasoned it and how it's then again ready for you to use and to clean it.
And here's where people can find you on Facebook too. Heirloom Cast Iron Cookware, right on Facebook. So facebook.com, cast iron, and you can find Terry and everything he's got here. Now, Terry, I love how you've got Buy Local, Shop Local on here. You're really helping to promote that with Dane Buy Local. What have you seen as some of the benefits of being involved in an organization like Dane Buy Local?
Yeah, I think that it brings awareness to the businesses that are here in Dane County and around. I encourage folks being local to come in and just walk around. Touch the cast iron, lift it, feel it, try and determine what's right for you in terms of size. There's lots of different shapes, sizes, and price points. It just depends on how many people you're cooking for and the types of food you might be cooking.
Can you tell us a little bit just to kind of identify the process and the love that has to go into refurbishing an old piece? Like, what does that take?
So it starts by finding a piece that you think is going to end up being a really nice piece. Like I mentioned earlier, that it's not warped, it's not pitted, it's not heavily rusted. And then there are different methods of cleaning. We have a couple of them that we use, but regardless of what method we use to actually get the old stuff off, it requires elbow grease. And there's a lot of elbow grease that goes into it. So once you get it clean, it's cleaned down to bare iron. And then I season it. And I season each piece one time using Crisco all-purpose vegetable oil. It's in the blue can, and it's the white heavy stuff. And I season it one time, and then when somebody buys a piece, that's when I then encourage them to initially cook something oily, greasy, saute. Use a little more oil in the beginning than you're going to say in 6 months, because every time you use that pan, that's the seasoning process that you're putting on it and making it your own family's piece of cookware. And a lot of these pieces you can certainly hand down as an heirloom to the next generation.
Why do you love cooking in cast iron so much? Tell us a little bit about some of the benefits of cooking with cast iron.
Cast iron has been around for hundreds of years and is coming back around again. And people have lots of questions about it. They want to see it and use it themselves. So I like using it just because I find it easy to use. There's a little bit of a skill set, getting the pan heated up and the food cooked in it. But once you've done it a few times, it's really pretty easy to use. Yeah, there's a picture there of griddles. We have griddles, round griddles, handle griddles, long griddles, skillets, Dutch ovens, and lots of pieces in between. It's just so varied once you come out here and take a look at what's available.
You're selling right to me, Terry, because I need a new griddle. I do. I need one. So I'm going to check in with you after this about that.
They're super nice for pancakes or sandwiches or, whatever you want to use them for.
That's one of my weekly things is Dad's got to make pancakes at least once a week. So it's part of the role.
The pieces make great gifts. I mean, we're coming up on the holiday season. A lot of times what I'm finding people are doing is pairing a cooking and cast iron cookbook or a cookbook about cast iron cooking with a pan or two pans or whatever, they think might be useful. And, from anywhere from gifts, birthday gifts to wedding gifts, all the way up through the holidays. When you buy a piece of cast iron cookware once, you'll use it forever. And then you can pass it down in your family as a family heirloom.
That's great. Terry, thanks so much for your time telling us all about heirloom at cast iron cookware today. And I really do appreciate what you're doing. Also, from the standpoint of just reusing and reinventing some of these pieces that have been around a long time to bring them to people right here in 2020. So best of luck to you. Have a great fourth quarter. Keep up the great work, and I'll be touching base with you about a griddle real soon.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
That's another a member a day through the holidays. We'll be back tomorrow to feature another Dane Buy Local member.